studio's Back to the Future. Please welcome back to the stage our moderator for this evening, Tim Crompierre.
How's it going, Glenside? Was it great? There's just the smiles let you know how great this movie is. Look at them, look how happy. Everyone's happy. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the main event?
Yeah!
Happy to hear you, Glenside, Pennsylvania. Ready for some more? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's have a big round of applause for the star of our movie tonight, Doc Brown himself, Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Well, let me be the first to say thank you so much for coming out this evening.
Oh.
Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
30 years later, and people still love this film like it just came out.
Yeah, I know. It still surprises, you know?
Yeah.
I remember we just hoped it would have a good premiere, a good opening night, and have a normal run. And here we are, 30-something years later. I was just watching it on monitors. I'm a bit biased, but it looks just as good as ever. You know?
Could you ever imagine that people are bringing their own children to see? We have so many young, we have Owen over there, young Owen. Stand up, Owen, wave high. There he is.
Yeah, Owen!
See the movie played down there.
Hey, Owen.
Small, other Owen over there. There's small children come with them. I mean,
Hey, Owen.
yeah. There's a lot of Owens here tonight. And,
you know, when this film first came out, a lot of kids like Owen and the other Owen, etc. All of people saw the film and they grew up. And they had children. And the children were grown up and had children. And it's like this cycle that just won't stop.
thank God for that, right?
Yeah, we'd all be a lot of trouble. So it's great. Great to see that. It's great to have been a part of something that has meant so much to so many people. Many people come up over the years and say that film made me want to be a scientist or a doctor or an engineer. Truthfully saying that's what, you know, they were turned on to something specific. And so it's great that that has had a positive impact all the way, as well as just being entertaining.
Right, yeah. So tell us, how did you come by the part of Doc Brown? How was it presented to you? Do you remember it?
From City, and my agent called me up and wanted me to come back and meet Bob Zemeckis, who I hadn't heard of, the director. And my agent sent me the script, and I read it. And it happened to be at that moment in time, I was about to go back to New York. I decided I'd come out to Hollywood from New York, and I had just started to get a theater career going in New York. And I came back out to, for the first time out to Hollywood. I was there for some months. And I was doing this little film. Otherwise, I had a definite sense that I'm going to get nowhere out here. And I've got a theater career that I was really getting locked into. It was working for me back in New York. And And if I stay out here much longer, I'll lose that. So I decided to go back to New York, and I've been offered a play when I got back. So I looked over the script, and I literally, we make mistakes. I put it in the waste basket.
Threw it in the garbage.
Huh?
Threw it in the garbage?
I put it in the, yeah, right there. Put it there. And my girlfriend at the time, she said that my motto had always been, never leave a stone unturned. Check everything out, which was my, my mantra in New York City, in the theater. And I thought about that, and I thought, yeah, well, she's right. So I retrieved the script. I called my agent. I went back to LA, and I sat down and had a meeting with Bob Zemeckis. And I was sold. There's no question, and that's how that happened.
So you didn't have to audition for the movie? It was pretty much just offered to you from...
Yeah. I'm not sure why.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have anything on record that resembled Doc Brown, so I'm not sure they had an intuition that I didn't recognize, so yeah, it worked out.
Well, did you base them on anybody when you created the character? Did you do a lot of research, or did you say,
Scientists who can grasp some incredible insight into something that the rest of us can't even fathom, and come up like Einstein did with E equals mc squared, and similar kind of equations that put together what is happening in the universe, and will happen, or how it's happened, and how it began. Those are huge, problems to solve. And I always had an admiration, because I'd read about them with other scientists, that they would just, their mind would become obsessed with some problem of science or theory. And they couldn't get it. And I read about one guy, I don't know who it was, who made a big breakthrough, and he couldn't think of it. He just kind of brushed it out of his mind. He was tired of it. And he was getting onto a bus and putting the change in the thing, and bang, he had an epiphany. By the way, bang, that's a little bit like Doc falling and hitting his head on the toilet seat. Exactly so. So that kind of person always amazed me. And so Einstein was a big image for me. And then there was a conductor by the name of Leopold Stokowski. He was a classical conductor, very innovative with some of the great works, and a brilliant interpreter. And I had an album of his when I was about 18 years old, 33 and a third. And there was a profile of Leopold Stokowski who was tall. He had this hair that went out the back of him like the wind was blowing, and had a wonderful profile. I've done my best. And he's there with his baton, and he's conducting. He looks so elegant. And I love that image. It's a classic image. So he was he and Einstein were kind of my models for Doc.
Was your hair, did they do that for the movie, or were you kind of already growing out?
I grew a lot. I mean, I'm a little bit like this.
Right.
And then when I changed age, they made a wig. The blonde hair, the white hair, whatever, it was a wig and a wig, yeah. And now I haven't got enough left to really do that again.
I'm right behind you, my friend.
I was
You're like a Propecia commercial.
all right. Who's the winner? Reminds me, had an occasion just 3 or 4 years ago where a Q&A, and they were, whoever had a question, I'd give a mic to, and one was a little bit like a young person there, and he was given a mic, and he, said, Mr. Lloyd, what is it like not to have to wear old age makeup anymore? Really?
Kids say the darndest things, huh?
Yeah. So.
What was your response?
Oh, it brought the house down. It was so charming.
Well, there goes my next question. So where do you hail from, and how did you get into acting in the first place?
I was born in Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And
Stanford in the house.
all right. I moved to New York pretty early, and I lived in New York. And after high school, I kind of knew I was 13 or 14 that I wanted to act. I really didn't know why or have any dream that it would turn out as well as it has. But I went to New York, and I did a lot of theater over time. And then they came there too. I couldn't get into film. I went through auditions and readings and interviews. Nothing stuck. I just felt I'm wasting their time and my time. It just didn't seem to happen. And then they came to New York to cast Look Through Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
A little film I've heard of. Unbelievable role.
Somebody set me up for that, and it worked out.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Such a great movie. Yeah.
It was.
Did you guys, I read that you actually lived in a mental, is that true that the cast lived in a mental hospital?
It was in Salem, Oregon, and we lived in a motel.
Okay.
But we were all, they used a floor of a real asylum, and we came there. We were asked to come there about 2 weeks before we started shooting, and we sat in on a lot of group therapy sessions at the asylum with real patients, and ate with them, went to the cafeteria. Really got a feeling of the existence, what it's like to be in an asylum. And this asylum was built initially in the 40s or 30s or something, so it had the sense of an old kind of place. So we spent 2 weeks doing that, we got passes. The floor we were on, and each floor contained contained a cafeteria, playroom, the big bathrooms, recreation area, and a section with all the beds. Each bed had a little bed table to it, which is the way they lived, the actual patients. And there was the nurses' office, and where all the medicines were kept, just as it is in the film. That was an actual place. So, and we spent many hours there during the day and nights shooting. And each of us cast members was assigned a particular cot with his own little thing. So we spent nights there and would nap there. And we lived in that ward for 11 weeks.
Wow.
And pretty much, we go back to the motel. But we were there so much, it was virtually.
Was there a patient in there that you kind of maybe looked at and said, I'm going to kind of...
Well, we in the 2 weeks before the shooting, we would go up and visit patients. The ward above us was a maximum security ward, but they still, amazingly, we were invited up not as a group, but singly, and you got to know some of the patients up there. It was, you know, it was watched, and there was security there keeping an eye on things, and that was very interesting.
Did Nicholson go up there too?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we all did.
Did you meet Danny DeVito on the set of that movie, or did you already know Danny?
Well, we'd already done Taxi.
Oh, Taxi already been done?
So, we were acquainted.
Greatest show ever.
Yeah, it was good.
Every time I go over the bridge, or I go over the Manhattan Bridge, I know
Oh, yeah?
the theme in my head.
Whatever.
Oh, good dog. Anyway, what was the first professional acting job you got? Was it a stage, or was it was stage or film? First professional job you got as an actor?
Oh, it was theater.
Theater?
Yeah.
What were you playing?
My breakthrough part, I used to do workshops. You weren't paid. You'd get bus fare or subway fare, but it was, you know, like a training ground. You went out, and we'd be working. These workshop shows would run maybe Thursday to Sunday, and you rehearse whenever you had time, and everybody could get together because most everybody had a job,
Right.
a real job, you know, waiting on tables or whatever. So there would be rehearsals 1 o'clock in the morning, or earlier or later. You know, you just, if you were eager to do it, you found ways to do it.
To learn your craft.
And eventually I started getting paid. I started moving up.
Awesome. So we're going to do, as we go along, we'll do some questions from the audience that people wrote in during the show. I have them here. This is from Chris from Rutledge, PA, I believe it says. Chris?
Where's Chris?
It's Chris, I don't know. Chris, you here? Chris is in the bathroom.
I'll find him.
I'm asking anyway. Chris, we'll wait for you. Was the entire film shot on a Hollywood studio backlot, or did you shoot some of it in real locations? Back to the future.
It was shot on a back lot, and various Doc's house was in what's the suburb? Pasadena.
Pasadena.
It was a beautiful by a major architect, Green and Green, and that was and a garage that came with it, where Doc did his work. When it came down, it seems to me, as I remember, Back to the Future 2, because there was a gap of 2 years between Back to the Future 1 and Back to the Future 2, that the house became unavailable for 2. And they digitally or built sets in sound studios to replicate the house.
Huh.
Pasadena, various locations around LA, this studio at Universal. I don't remember that we went out of that area.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to the Future 3, we went to Painted Desert in Arizona, and we shot, it was a Western, so we shot up in the foothills, Sierra foothills, east of Sacramento, eastern California.
Did you enjoy that more than being on a lot?
Oh, I loved it. Sorry?
You enjoyed that more than being on a lot, shooting up on location?
Wherever it works.
Wherever it works?
Yeah.
But you love that, the number 3?
Oh, 3, that's my favorite of the 3.
All right.
There's a Western. Who doesn't like a Western? Riding horses and all that work on the steam engine. The steam engine is such a hulk. It's such a, I mean, they're not around today unless you go to the one that's been preserved somewhere. They're huge. All that iron and all those rods and steam come out. It's like some ferocious animal, you know. And to be hanging on while it's moving along is kind of cool. And then horseback riding, and something that happens rarely in my life on the screen, Doc had a romance. Dear Clara.
Played by the beautiful Mary Steve, yes.
Tap that.
Easy on the eyes, that Mary Steve Bridget, huh? Yes.
She was, it was just a perfect match. I mean, we just had great chemistry. It was cool. None of that.
No, that happened. It's all professional people. How did the line "Great Scott" come to be? Is it part of the script or an ad-lib? This is from Jason Turner in Lincoln University, Pennsylvania. Was that improv or was it in the script?
No, that was in the script.
It was?
That was in the script, yeah.
Did Zemeckis let you guys improv at all?
We didn't improvise much, that I'm aware of. The language had to be sort of precise.
Sure, yeah.
And clear, because there was, so many cross things, so many things going on,
right,
that it would, you could improvise it, but pretty much it stuck to Bob Gale's words.
The words were great.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you just stick to the words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as most people know, Eric Stoltz was the original Marty McFly. How long did you actually shoot with him before Michael J. Fox joined the cast?
We shot 6 weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks. We did all that scene in what you just saw in the parking lot when you first see the door and come down. And I said Eisenstein out for a test ride and all that. That was all shot, and some other things. And Eric Stoltz is a really very fine actor. I wasn't aware that anybody was thinking about anybody else except Eric Stoltz. And then one night, 6 weeks into it, we were working all night. And somebody said, everybody gather over there by the tree or something, and it was announced. And it was a very kind of sad moment, I mean, God, I would have quit.
Right.
But Eric keeps working, and I know it was not an easy thing for him. So it wasn't like we were celebrating, we're going to get Michael. It was just one of those tough moments, but it worked out. They wanted something when they saw the film in the dailies. Eric lacked a certain kind of comic timing, a comic sense that Michael J. Fox, comes easy for him. He's got that. And it really brought a lot of great chemistry between us and for the film. So it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up working out for everybody, I think. He's a tremendous actor. Did you ever work with him again on anything else? Did you ever work with Eric?
Michael?
No, with Eric. Did you ever work with Eric
Stoltz? No.
No. And Michael, just the 3 films, correct?
The 3 films, and I was a guest on his series.
Oh, sure, yeah.
A couple of times. And we've gotten together to do
Spin City, yes, that was the show.
Sin City.
Spin City.
Huh?
Spin City?
Spin City.
Sin City? Long time ago.
It's okay.
It's fine. And you got together, and you did the great Jimmy Kimmel thing when you guys came out. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a good moment. What's his name? Oh, Jimmy, I was thinking, there's a movie I did too where I came back as Kevin McFarland. It was kind of a Western, and
Million Ways to Die in the West.
yeah.
With Sept MacFarlane.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
He
genius.
directed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great. Would you, this is from Ethan. Ethan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced, I can't really see. Is it Liebiger? Liebiger. Sorry, Ethan, I did my best. He's from North Wales. Would you ever want to make another Back to the Future movie? I think
Well, yeah.
you heard it here. Someone gets to make us on the phone. Where would you want that one to take place? Where would you like to go
I
next?
have no idea. I mean, I know that there are no plans to make number 4. When they finished the 3, they felt that's it. That's the whole package.
Right.
But you never know. You know, people get a brainstorm and they think, you know. So it would have to be an extraordinary script to live up to 1, 2, and 3. And that's, you know, sometimes you try to make a sequel just once, and it's a failure because it's so difficult to bring back the same magic, the same.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's got to be. It would have to be. I don't know. Take the story somewhere.
Special, yeah.
It's very special. Yeah.
With that said, were you skeptical when they said we're going to do a sequel, we're going to do number 2? Were you kind of like, or did you have a lot of trust?
I wasn't too skeptical because 1 got such good vibes, you know, that it kind of felt we were onto something. You
Right.
know, and that they're not going to slip and do something that isn't on a par with number 1.
How close did you shoot 2 and 3? Were they?
2 and 3 was almost, one after the other. We finished 2, took a 3-week break, and did 3.
And did it right away. And you knew that was coming.
Yeah. That was pretty assured.
How long did that take to shoot those 2 movies? You remember?
I don't know, 4 or 5 months
Wow.
for the 2 of them. I may be wrong, but you know, something like that.
It's a lot of work. Other than this is from, is it Michael E. Wilmington, Delaware? Okay, he's in the front. Is that you, Michael? How you doing, buddy? Other than Back to the Future, what do you think? What other main film will be part of your legacy? Say, what other movie have you made that will be part of your legacy? Like, this movie is definitely part of your legacy. Do you think there's another film that people...
Well, I always say what I like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The Return of Smock. And there's some...
All right, we get it. Calm down. I got it.
Adam's Family.
Adam's Family was great.
And there's a number of not so prominently known films. Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Oh my God. And others, but those were the...
Do you have a film that's not as recognizable that you love personally, that is close to your heart, that maybe other people don't?
Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, I really love it.
Really love that film.
And there was a film with Michael Keaton and Jimmy Boyle.
Dreamscape. Dream Team? Dream Team?
Dream Team. Yeah.
Very funny.
I really like Dream Team. By the way, I have another film coming on, sort of creeping into visibility at the moment.
Are you shooting it right now?
About a year ago.
About a year ago?
I am not a serial killer. And I'm hoping that it's kind of an interesting thing.
Who directs that?
Billy O'Brien.
Billy O'Brien. Okay.
He's an Irish director. Irish.
You looking forward to that coming out? That was exciting. There was a.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I recommend it if you happen to see it.
All right.
I don't think
Well, bringing that up, here's a question from Dan from Westminster, Maryland. And this isn't even, what's your top 3 favorite movies? Maybe you weren't even in, but just loved.
Well, just really personally, when I was 12 years old, I like Shakespeare. And I'm actually in the process of getting a production together of a Shakespeare play. So I have a kind of an affinity for that. Did some of the theater. And when I was 12 years old, my mother was going to take me to see a Shakespeare film of Hamlet with Laurence Olivier.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And she didn't know what she thought might be too disturbing for me or I wouldn't understand it. She took me and I was blown away. And just for the fun of it, take a look at Laurence Olivier's Hamlet. It's condensed, but it brings a story to life in a very poignant way. And I got the 33 1/3 records, and I memorized the soliloquies, and so that made a lot of a big impression on me. And I'm trying to think. I remember my mother took me to see Gone with the Wind.
Wow.
So about the time when it came out, 1940 something.
39.
1939!
She was right in the front.
Oh. Well, I was born 1938. I didn't even know it was...
Movies stayed in the theater a lot
But
longer.
I went to see... I had to go to the bathroom just before they burned down the planet. I was really scared. I went to the bathroom. I remember the first time I was in a public bathroom, and I was fascinated. There were all these urinals. I was flushing one after another. And my mother was calling me, Chris, trying to get me out of there. Yes. All with the wind.
This question's from Jeff from New London, Pennsylvania. What do you get most, Reverend Jim or Doc Brown?
I use Doc now, but there's a lot of people, of course, a lot of people when they confess that they love Reverend Jim, it marks them as being of a certain age. So,
That was my first season.
yeah, that was just such an amazing thing. An amazing thing, because that's what got me out to LA in the first place. And when I didn't go back, actually I've got the chronology a little mixed up in my mind. But yeah, that was after Cruise that came up.
Wait.
And I had sworn, I had made up, because sitcoms in New York among the hardcore theater people were like selling your soul. Go out there and do those stupid sitcoms and, when you should be, and I would go back to New York, and actors would say to me, you belong here. That Hollywood bullshit. and it used to get kind of volatile. When I went up to LA, I found out where the New York people hung out, and so I kind of hang out there. But there'd be parties with New York actors, those who were accepting LA and the whole scene there, and New Yorkers who were out there to make some money so they could go back to New York and do some theater. And it would get hot sometimes at those parties because when people go back to New York, you know, it's just like, well, you call yourself an actor? Okay, you know, and so there was an attitude about it, which doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's you know, that was a different era, but it was interesting.
So you felt that? You felt a little bit that from your acting friends that they
there was a certain.
Till they wanted to borrow money from you, I'm sure, right? And they were like, oh.
Well, I wasn't making any money in those days.
Oh no, really?
They weren't coming at me for that. Or anything else.
Well, since we're speaking about Taxi, I have to ask, you made an appearance in 1999's Man on the Moon, starring Jim Carrey, based on Andy Kaufman's replaced role, which was, how he didn't win an Oscar for that, I still don't understand.
What?
How Jim Carrey didn't win an Oscar for playing Andy Kaufman, I thought he did such a tremendous job.
He did. I mean, we'd be working, and sorry, what's the name?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey had a look in his eyes. Sometimes that was Andy Kaufman staring at you. I mean, really, it was extraordinary, and the way he would recreate it, so much of what Andy did. It was a wonderful performance. And it was kind of a reunion because we all came back to film it. Just a few years after Taxi was over. And there we were, sitting down at the table all together. And they recreated the garage at a different studio at Universal. We shot the film at Paramount. And they built it to a T, scuff marks, and all this, every little detail, they rebuilt it. And it was kind of great to get together with everybody.
What was it like working with Andy Kaufman? Was it, you know, you hear different stories.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
People ask me, was Kaufman really sane? Things like that. And I found out, and I think the rest of the cast would agree, he was very sane. He knew what he was doing. He knew the kind of comedy that he wanted to create and the kind of commentary he wanted to make with his comedy. And he was very committed to it. He was kind of out there, you know, but so were all of us, one way or another. But he was there. He was not crazy, and I went with him to his wrestling women, mud wrestling.
Yeah, you went to one?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about that, please. Earmuffs, Owen, earmuffs.
Yeah, but I tell you, he did, and the other thing, there's a character he created. And the producers of Taxi wanted that character to come onto a episode of Taxi. And there was a lot of talking about it. Finally, Andy agreed to it. But he said he had to have a separate contract for that other character.
Was it the Tony Clifton character?
Yeah.
Tony was very famous.
So he came into their offices as Tony Clifton, sat down and they had a different contract for Tony Clifton. That's right. But one of my greatest memories of Andy, one time, I'll get to that in a second. One time he got Tony Danza so pissed off. And Tony went, we had our dressing room, all the same little area. And Tony went and got a fire extinguisher. And Andy was, Tony opened it up, it was one of those foam things, you know, like that. That was pretty funny. But the moment I love it is that Andy was kind of a transcendentalist or something. He kind of,
he meditated.
He meditated and all that kind of thing. And one day during rehearsals with everybody there, the crew, shooting with the cameras and the cast, a discussion came in. Somehow people were talking about levitation. And it was just a casual conversation, and Andy sort of said, I can do that. And everybody, yeah, all this kind of thing. So a 10-minute break came, and Andy sat down on the floor with his legs crossed, like and everybody's standing there. Is he really going to meditate? Is he really going to levitate? And I just thought, the gall, the courage, the conviction to sit down in front of everybody, and everybody's standing around, watch him to see if he levitates. It was, and everybody was, whether they really believed he could or not, they were thinking, he's doing this. How can, And after about 10 minutes, the production manager said, we got to go back to rehearsal. And he said, okay. Got up. Like if it was 5 minutes later, he may have.
I was about to levitate, but we got to go back to work now.
Yeah. But that's the kind of way he was focused on doing his thing. He was brilliant with it.
This question's from Sean from Levittown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's other Levittowns, sir.
Sir.
Where you headed, buddy? Oh, is that the guy? Oh, no, it's not. It's this guy over here, I guess.
Where is he?
I don't know. Where is Sean? Where are you? Oh, he's in the back. He ran away. This is the question. Have you seen the Back to the Future inspired animated series Rick and Morty?
Oh, it's the best.
No, I haven't. And I've been asked that a lot recently, so I need to go and see it.
So they never asked you about it? You never got questioned about it from the people that make it? They never came to you?
It's based on him.
Was I in it?
No, you weren't in it.
I don't think they've come to me.
All right.
I'm not sure.
You've done quite a bit of voiceover stuff. Voiceover stuff. You've done.
Yeah.
Do you prefer that at all, or is that a
I enjoy it. When it first came up, the first, some years ago, I was like, I'm a real actor. I'm supposed to see all of it. I'm just doing a voice. But I became a little more humble, and I took it seriously, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
This is from Anna from Kennett Square. Who's your favorite actor of all time?
Well, the actor that made the most impression when I came to New York in 1960, permanently with the brother who had to be Marlon Brando. I mean, if you get really into it sometime and have a marathon of Marlon Brando films and see the incredible work this guy did. Character work, his deep sense of truth and honesty within those characters, his imagination, he was kind of the idol. And he broke out initially in the theater with, what the hell did Tennessee Williams play? Streetcar Named Desire, as Stanley. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I mean, it's a brilliant story, a brilliant film that's just worth seeing. But see him in it, and that's what he did on Broadway to start. And he got Tennessee Williams, who wrote the play, but they'd seen Marlon do a couple things here and there on a low, and they thought, let's meet this guy. So they wanted Marlon Brando to go to somewhere in Massachusetts, on Cape Cod, I think, to meet Tennessee Williams. And and they gave him bus money. Bus money. Talk about beginnings. They gave him bus money to get himself up there. And he hitchhiked instead and saved the money. And he went up there and eventually did that. And then they made a movie of it, you know, so you can see that movie out there if you would. But he was the. I remember Stanley Kowalski, the part he played in Streetcar Named Desire, had a T-shirt, white T-shirt. Brando was pretty hefty, and it was sweaty and all that and everything. And actors in New York, so they were going around in dirty T-shirts. Maybe that a little bit of his talent rub off, you know. But so that was a.
Did you ever have the pleasure of meeting him?
No, I've never met him.
Never met him. This question is from Rosie from Westchester. Hi, Rosie.
I just interject.
What's that?
The other actor there's many actors, I'm not great with the names, who I have, Jack Nicholson, I have deep admiration for. His daring, intelligence, and the way he, you know, we did Cuckoo's Nest, and he was such a generous person. He knew that everybody in that cast were like beginners, you know, which most of us were. And the way he helped us and nurtured us through the shooting of the movie meant a lot to me.
That's amazing. That's what you want to hear about great actors, right? So this is from Rosie from Westchester. Besides Doc Brown, who's your favorite character you've ever portrayed?
I guess if I go back to the theater, I've struggled in New York for a long time to get a paying job in New York City. I did summer stock, I did regional theater, I went here and there, but I couldn't land a role in New York City. And in 1973, I believe in 1973, a place where I used to go and audition. Over maybe a course of 5 years, I auditioned at this place in New York. It was where they did plays, a season of plays in repertory. And it never happened. But the producer and director of that group was always at the auditions helpful. He'd have, he was like a helpful guy. And he called me in, he called me one day and said, we have a play, it's called Casper, and we would like you to do it. And I was stunned. And I went out to the drama bookshop, I picked up a copy of the play, and it made no sense to me. I didn't know what the hell this was. But it was an offer, you can't just shrug it off. So I read it 2 or 3 more times, and it began to sink in what this character was. And I ended up doing it. And it was literally like a one-man show. It was a character, okay, I'll tell you the story. I'll make it quick. Casper Hauser, for which the player's name was an actual person who showed up on a professor's doorstep before the Second World War, way back. And he was an adult human being that somebody left on this professor's doorstep to take care of. There was no identity. The man didn't know his name, he didn't know how to talk, he had no facility with language, he didn't have any acquaintance with real life. He was like he was just born that minute. And what they felt may have been is that there was a thing where the aristocratic families or noble families, if they had a son or somehow a child was born and they didn't want him to be eligible for inheritance or to inherit the whole, they didn't want him, period. They put him in a dungeon. He was fed, and that was that. So this man is left on the step. And in the play, it's a lot to do with the language. It's him becoming a civilized human being. And I suddenly, when I read that play about the third time, I felt I knew exactly what that guy was about. Who could figure? But so I went, I did it, and it kind of knocked me up a few levels, and I started getting more work in that film. So that is a role that.
Do you think that launched you? Is that one of the roles that launched you? Do you have, if you could think of one role that launched your career? Really?
Oh yeah,
that was it.
You know, and I guess Cuckoo's Nest kind of got me started in the film.
Here's a question from Colin from Ridley Park. If you could go to a certain time, when would you travel? Where would you travel to, and when would you travel to?
I always think about that after a session like this because I get asked, and I think that wasn't very interesting. So I do know. I wish I could go forward 100 years. There are so many things happening in the world today that are so precarious, iffy, and uncertain in so many ways. I'd like to see where we are in 100 years. There's that. And then into the past, I don't know.
You don't go back, you only go forward.
I said that I'd like to go back to the day I was born.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but it could be interesting. Watching my mother fussle with me and listen to whatever.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you prefer doing theater over TV and movies? I know it's your love, but if you had a choice of doing a play or a great movie or a movie, what would you choose?
It's tough. I mean, as I mentioned before, I'm working on doing a production of a Shakespeare play, and I don't know. It is so amazing, and I'm so looking forward to it. And it wouldn't even be in a big theater. It's more appropriate for a smaller theater. Like this would be too big for it. But it just depends. I mean, there's a role that I'm doing now, a film called Making It Not Killing. I love the role in it. It's a departure from other stuff I've done. And it's just, nothing is more exciting than to get a phone call as my agent or manager saying, we're sending you a script. Fuck! That is there is nothing better than that. Nothing. I have the same excitement about that as I did in 1960. The script is coming.
That's great. That was worth it right there that you just did that. Oh, you said three. You said the third movie was your favorite one, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why was it? Because it was a Western. What was your favorite scene? Was your favorite scene from the third one? If you had to pick one scene from that you'd say was your favorite one to shoot.
Scenes with Kara, scenes on Steve Engine. There's one thing I remember was kind of, it's so crazy. There was I'm building in the barn back there in the Old West, this machine to create ice, right? And it's there are wheels, smoke, all this, it's like with take up this stage back of me. And I think there's a shot, I haven't seen it for a while, where you look out a window, me and Michael are there, Marty, you look out a window, and on cue, a train coming, you see the vistas out at the station, the train coming in. We don't know yet, but that's the train that Claire is on. And we got this ice machine. And there were so many things going on at the same time that we had to do retakes and retakes and retakes and retakes. And it takes a while to back up an actual steam engine. So, it finally, with all theory going around, and there's a little thing there, a cube of ice drops. That's also in the scene, so the timing and all that. And we finally get to around the 25th take, and I blow my line. And it's not a nice feeling. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make the crew happy. They have to put everything back up. But that's kind of, I don't know, because
it was the 25th time. What do they expect? You nailed it 24 times. That's the way you got to look at it.
I didn't have that much to say.
This question is from Laura Lieberger from North Wales, Pennsylvania, age 10. Is she here? There she is over there. Hi. I'm sorry I butchered your last name. Were you the first choice to play Doc Brown as far as you know?
As far as I know.
All right.
Who else?
Now, who else is going to play?
As I say, I don't know where they saw Doc, but they had a hunch.
This is from Matt Castle from Hampstead. Yeah, Matt's right front, right there. See him raising his hand? There he is. What props did you take from the movies? Did you take anything home?
I have a shirt. It's kind of yellowish with a little train on it, stuff like that, which my fiance forbids me to wear in public.
Until it comes back.
But I have that. That's all I got.
Did they ever offer you a DeLorean? No one ever offered you a DeLorean?
No one offered me a DeLorean.
No one?
No.
I think you deserve one at this point, don't you think?
Yeah. It's amazing what the film did for the DeLoreans. I mean, so many people. I went to a festival, a DeLorean festival, a couple of years ago in Ohio, and there were about 170 DeLoreans, and most of them had been modified to be like the one in the movie with all that flux capacitor and everything.
Yeah.
But people are avid about it. I mean, they'll find an old beat up DeLorean and just make it pristine again. It's like.
Did you ever get to drive? No, did you really drive it on the set, or was it a?
Yeah. No, I drove it some of the time. The real tricky stuff, the stunt driver performed. The only thing was that the stunt drivers, who are pretty astute about cars, but they make their living crashing them, said that it's a very slick, futuristic design, but it's not engineered very well. So they had about 7 or 8 DeLoreans off somewhere, and they'd be exchanging parts from one to the other to keep the movie version running.
Wow.
But it's cool.
I have a Hyundai that's a very similar situation.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. How many you got?
I've gone back and forth many times with it. I don't really want to talk about it. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's parked in front of the theater. It's a very sad situation.
Touchy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I should. Anyway, this is from Amy Schaefer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Amy, let me just say this right now. Your penmanship is excellent, and you should be look. She's right over there. There she is, Miss Penmanship, 2016, right there. This is just. What are some of your favorite hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not acting?
I don't do a hell of a lot.
You don't?
Mostly I wait for that magic phone call.
That's your job.
I go, we look at movies, I read a lot, work out, and wait.
Work out and wait. It's not bad. You've had such an amazing career. What's something that you haven't done that you wish you could do? Have you?
I don't know. I don't think too much now. I know a lot of actors or they'll think, gee, I want to play this role or that role, or I want somebody to write something like where I don't. The one character that I would be, I think, kind of great is sort of. I don't know, but I don't know how many of you are familiar with Don Quixote and De La Mancha. Don Quixote is just such an extraordinary. He's kind of Doc Brown in a different century.
Yeah.
In a certain sense.
A little eccentric.
Sancho Panza, I think. Don Quixote's sidekick sort of. I don't know who can make it better than Danny DeVito. I think about that.
Maybe the
Write a letter to your local representative.
We'll try to make that happen. You mentioned earlier Who Framed Roger Rabbit was one of your favorite films. This is a question from John Cannon from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. What was it like to make Who Framed Roger Rabbit and act with cartoons that were not there to do the green screen?
Well, to work on that, Bob Hoskins had the most physical stuff going on with characters that weren't there. But they had a mime, a pantomist on the set, because we rehearsed with dummies, like Roger Rabbit was about that tall, and they made him out of kind of a soft, rubbery thing, but I mean, he was sturdy. And he really weighed something. So we would practice with a dummy, Roger Rabbit, to figure out what muscles we moved and what was necessary to make him look real and all that. And we rehearsed it with the mimist showing, what to do and what area muscles were being used, no matter what it was, whether it was a fight or something like that. And then finally, when we felt we had it in our system, we'd shoot it without the dummies. And also they had a wonderful comedian, whose name escapes me at the moment. He was hired to be there the full time and be Roger Rabbit. So he'd be off screen and he'd do the lines with, I don't know, he'd do a rabbit voice and have that goofy costume. So when we were talking to Roger Rabbit, this person would be off camera and we'd talk to him. So they did what they could to help us out. Most amazing thing, the film, that was not done digitally as it would be today. It was like kind of a homage to the great Disney animation films that I grew up on. And Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Bambi, Pinocchio, all those great original. And so they had it was shot in London, and they had this kind of a factory, 4 floors, old dusty building, and they divided each floor into cubicles. And there were artists, animated, artists from all over the world up there, from China and Japan and Indonesia, Europe. These people from all over the world. And in each little cubicle, there'll be an artist drawing a cell, what they call the cell, drawing a particular aspect on that cell, maybe the hat or the tree, you know, and then it would go to the next cell, and somebody would add the next ingredient. It was amazing, and they're all there all the time doing this. So there's empty food cartons, and coffee cups, and smoke, and they're all looking, you know. It was an extraordinary thing to witness, but they did it by hand. It was pretty great.
Amazing, yes. This is from Ben from Pittsburgh. What's one thing from Back to the Future 2 you wish we had? Hoverboards, flying cars, power laces, etc.
Well, one of our candidates fits it almost precisely. I don't know whether we want to wish we had or not had, but the kind of world, what's his name?
Biff?
Huh? The actor.
Yeah.
Biff, yeah, created. There's not too much to wish for there.
You know, the laces, the sneakers, Nike actually just are coming out with them. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but if you go on YouTube, they have them. You can put your feet in, and they actually, there's a motor in it, and the laces close on your feet.
Yeah, you're right.
You should get a free pair. They should send you a pair.
Well,
That and a DeLorean.
yeah.
I'm gonna work on that. Let's get that started, guys. Seriously, let's Twitter that @Nike. See what I'm doing here? This is actually something I read. This is like Ronald Reagan found it very funny that Doc couldn't believe he had become president. I read that and did you ever get to meet President Reagan?
No.
Did you hear that about him? He thought it was funny that he kept rewinding the film that when he saw it in the White House because he thought it was so. He was a big fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watch it, wait.
Sounds good.
Yeah. No, just letting that soak in. I mean, that's the questions. But the last thing I was gonna say was once again, thank you for being with us tonight. We really greatly appreciate it.
Question.
It's been a wonderful evening. Ladies and gentlemen.